Speech-language pathology assistants work under the direct supervision of a licensed speech-language pathologist. They work with individuals who have been diagnosed with a communication disorder. So what is a communication disorder? Well, communication disorders include the following types. We have language disorders, which include deficits or difficulty in developing and using vocabulary. We have language disorders can also include difficulty in learning, using, or understanding various sentence structures, which in layman's terms means grammar, but in our profession is referred to as syntax. Language disorders can also include difficulty with the overall use of language, which we refer to as the pragmatics of language. For example, how to appropriately take turns in a conversation or maintain a topic of conversation. Another communication disorder is a speech sound disorder, which includes articulation errors, such as a child who says wabbit for rabbit or tutti for cookie. We treat fluency disorders. An individual with a fluency disorder will produce non-fluent speech with repetitions, such as I want a cookie. And finally, we treat individuals with various voice disorders, such as hoarse vocal qualities secondary to vocal nodules, or an individual who can't produce voicing because he or she has lost their larynx due to laryngeal cancer. There is so much power in communication. I have always loved this quote by Daniel Webster that says, "If all my possessions were taken from me with one exception, I would choose to keep the power of communication, for by it I would soon regain all the rest." Those of us who work in the field of speech-language pathology have the privilege of helping others learn or regain this ability to communicate. Let's take a moment to hear from a former SLPA student regarding what she does as an SLPA.
So my name is Isabel Bautista. I currently work in 2 elementary schools under the supervision of a licensed speech-language pathologist. As an assistant, I work with a variety of children who need to work on either language or articulation, or sometimes both, some fluency as well. So I work with the kiddos. I provide the therapy as prescribed by my speech-language pathologist. I create materials for those sessions, take data, report the data to my supervising SLP, and other clinical duties like scheduling IEP meetings, attending those meetings, and taking some notes. So those are some of the duties of an SLPA.
Speech-language pathology assistants, or SLPAs, can work in a variety of settings. Most SLPAs work in schools or at child development centers. SLPAs can also work in hospitals or residential healthcare settings, as well as in private practice. Our graduates typically find employment working with children. SLPAs provide speech-language treatment for individuals from birth through death. Individuals who have been diagnosed with a communication disorder often have comorbid disorders, such as overall developmental delays, autism, syndromes such as Fragile X or Down syndrome, brain injuries such as we see with shaken baby syndrome or traumatic brain injury following a car accident, strokes, and also cognitive disabilities. Let's hear from former students as to why they chose LCCC's SLPA program.
So while I was working as a special ed para, this new SLPA program became available. The first launching year, I was like, oh, I'm going to jump on that. That's wonderful, because as I was working hand in hand with the speech and language therapy staff, I was like, wow, this is so fascinating. You guys help kids find their voice. I love this. Let me sign up for this coursework. And
it was time for a change. And of course, at my age, I didn't want to have to go to school for something for 6 years. So I kind of started looking around, happened to mention to the current SLP where I was working. And she's like, oh, you need to go talk to Sue Torney out at LCCC because they have this program out there. So I went out and visited with Sue Torney and was really interested in it. I had to have speech as a child, and all 4 of my children had to have speech. And the more I thought about it, discussed it with my husband, thought this would be a good fit for me.
So while working at my local child developmental center, I saw the SLPs working with students there and the impact that they had on these little kiddos. They at the child developmental center, they typically work with 3 to 5 year olds, and at this stage, man, kiddos are growing so much. Lots is happening in their little lives, and so I saw the growth that they were making, and I thought, I want to be a part of that. I want to make that kind of impact in their lives.
So, what are our program admission requirements? We have two prerequisite courses that need to be completed with a C or higher prior to admission: English 1010 and Public Speaking. You must have a prior GPA of 2.5 or higher, and finally, you have to observe a speech language pathologist in the work environment for 2 hours, which will help you in your decision in pursuing this rewarding profession. Our program is an online program. The majority of our courses are taught synchronously, which means you can either join class on campus or online at a distance from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday. We also have courses that are completely online or are asynchronous online in that they include pre-recorded lectures along with an online assignment requirement. Students can complete our program either full-time with a 2-year plan or part-time with a 3-year plan. During the final semester of the program, students are required to complete a 270-hour unpaid internship, which equates to about 20 hours a week at an internship site. During this internship, students practice treatment skills under the supervision of a licensed speech-language pathologist. Here is what some former students have to say about the online component of our program, as well as what to plan for if you are accepted into the SLPA program.
One of the things that was really good with the program at LCCC is living here in Cheyenne. Most of the time I did choose to go on campus for classes, but having the option of staying home and zooming in on the classes was very, very helpful. There was a couple of times, not feeling well. I really don't want to go out again. So I would Zoom from home, which was a very, very nice option. I do know that it also opened it up to different people throughout the state, even out of state, so that this program was an option for them.
I loved that it was online. However, the virtual Zoom meetings that we had and being able to ask questions and interact with my peers and with my instructors was extremely helpful. So I really enjoyed the convenience of both, having that virtual piece, but also being able to be home and be working, and otherwise I'd have to travel 2.5 hours each way to get to.
If you enjoy working with individuals in a small group or one-on-one, if you have the desire to impact someone's life by helping them communicate, then please consider the SLPA program. The rewards of this profession are immeasurable. Here's my contact information. I would love to discuss our program with you. Please don't hesitate to reach out.